So hi guys and welcome back. So I thought this week I would talk about jobs because most people have them and most people have bosses. And I've seen a couple of things over the holidays of like bosses just being arseholes in general, or even just like I feel like saying things that they shouldn't be saying just to people in general. But we'll just get straight into it. First off, I actually can't find the original video because I think they've taken it down, so I'm having to go to show a video that someone else has stitched, but you will see them in it. I'll link to their video anyway, but we'll go into it.
You want to know why else you're not getting the job? Because you're 26 and I'm 54 years old and you're calling me by my first name and we don't know each other.
So, obviously there's an issue right there. The full thing of saying that you're 26 and he's 54 and you're calling this guy in an interview by his first name. I would say that's a weird one. I've never actually called someone like in a job interview like Mrs. This, Mr. That. So I don't understand why this person's saying that because that doesn't seem right. I think if you introduce yourself as like I'm Mr. Johnson, you'd be like, right, okay, he's not telling me his first name, I'll just say Mr. Johnson. That makes sense. Or even if there's... Actually, I feel like that's the only sense what you would actually say, like, oh, that's the name you should use with them, if that's how they introduce themselves. If they say, my name's Bob Johnson, you'd be like, oh, nice to meet you, Bob. You wouldn't be like, nice to meet you, Mr. Johnson. Don't know if it's just maybe an age thing, this guy is a bit older, but I can't imagine my parents are like, call me by a second name. I feel like it's very weird that someone's saying that because I think you should feel a bit more comfortable in a job interview because that's how you should be. You having to worry about one more thing with like, oh, have I said the right name is just silly. Why does it matter if you say their name properly or not? You're in an interview with them. Like, why would me try to hire someone care if they said my name right or wrong? As long as they like are good for the job and they seem quite personable, I think that's a good thing as long as they're fit for their skills and everything like that. Just because they didn't call me Mr. Johnson doesn't mean they're not getting the job. That'd be so silly, but it kind of seems like that's the way this guy's going. So that's obviously like bosses again, but this time we'll actually just go into a boss specifically on Diary of a CEO, which there was a bit of controversy with anyway, so I'll just go straight into it.
Is there anything else that is an immediate turn off for you in an interview? Like an immediate red flag? If someone says something or does something?
Oh yeah, there's so many. Immediate, not gonna hire you if you talk badly about your last boss, because the way you treated your last person's probably gonna be the way you treat me. Immediately not gonna hire you.
Obviously talking bad about your previous boss in an interview is a weird thing to do. I feel like you can speak about your previous workplace, but I wouldn't bathmouth them in any way. If they ask you like, oh, why did you leave your previous place? You can just be like, even imagine if you did have issues with your boss, you could just be like, oh, I just didn't feel like I fit in with the company that well, and we didn't see eye to eye and a lot of things. That's not talking bad on it. That's just saying that you've removed yourself from the situation. But I don't know how this person is going to act about that.
Second immediate, not gonna hire you, is if you talk about all the reasons why something didn't work and it's not your fault. So if you're victim mentality at all, well, this didn't work because of this didn't work because of this.
I understand that one as well, but I've got a feeling like in an interview you're not going to be like, oh, this is why this didn't work, or and it was my fault, and this is the reason it's my fault. Like, I understand maybe showing yourself like, oh, this didn't work and it was my fault because of this, and this is how I was able to implement these fixes to get it to work again. I understand that, but the way this person's speaking is just like it seems like they're not giving them a chance to justify themselves. Obviously, this is me being biased towards this person because I've already watched this clip and I don't like the next comment they make. But I think it's a very fine line to do. Most people are very like hyped up in interviews and struggle to do them. Like, I don't know many people that enjoy interviews.
Third, in the interview, this one's a little inappropriate, but if you come into my companies and you say, talk to me about work-life balance, I'm not the place for you. Our companies are hardcore. There's not a lot of work-life balance. We work hard. So I'm not gonna hire you if you talk about how much time off. Are you, texting on the weekends? The answer is yes.
The fact that the work-life balance, I feel that's a valid question in an interview. It's more of a question at the end of the interview because I feel like that's a bit of a weird one to start off with, but I think that's just me personally. And I understand being a bit annoyed about it, but they shouldn't be annoyed about it because people are allowed to choose to do a job because they want money, not just because they want to work for your company. Like, I think that's what some of these CEOs forget, is the fact that they don't, your employee doesn't have any stake in the company apart from the job that they hold. And in theory, they can change that job. I know the job market is specifically really hard now, but in theory they can change that job. So why are they committing themselves to extra time when they shouldn't? They should be allowed to enjoy their time with their family, or even if they don't have a family, just enjoy time to themselves. Like, I play games and I don't have children or that, but I would prefer to still be able to do that than be working 24/7. But I understand there is sometimes maybe some sacrifices you need to make early in your career to do it. this is like the weird thing with it as well. The fact that I do believe there's some sacrifices you always do have to make to get a job doesn't mean that you should just not have a good work-life balance. Like, it's just unfair that this person is expecting someone that's maybe only getting paid 30,000. I know that's a lot of money, but I'm just giving an example. £30,000 a year to dedicate their life to this job. It's a bit unfair. I think if you're dedicating your life to a job, you need to be in the hundreds of thousands, even millions. Because that's the point. That's why CEOs get paid so much, is because that job is their life, and that's understandable why they're wanting other people to commit to it. But I think they've maybe lost touch with the fact of that person getting paid 30 grand is getting nowhere close to the, you know what I mean, the millions you're getting paid.
The second point to that is I always make the job seem worse than it is. A lot of people who hire try to sell the person. This is why it's so great. You should come here. My interview usually goes like this. Hey, I want to ask you a bunch of questions about your background. Then I'm going to tell you all the things that are really tough about this job, so you get the honest truth about it one way or the other. And then I'll wrap up with you asking any questions you want. Does that sound good? They go, yep. I kind of pepper them with questions about them. They go, here's all the things that suck about this job. Here's all the things that are hard. Here's all the reasons why it hasn't worked to date. Any questions on that? And the reason why is because I don't want anybody coming into my company and going, God, I thought it was going to be better than this. I want them coming in and going, oh, okay, this actually isn't miserable.
I think that's a really weird thing to do, because you're kind of seeming like it's a very dour place to work, and you're like, oh, even the boss, like the head or the owner of this company is going, yeah, it's not that fun to work for. Imagine you wouldn't want to take the job. Like, they'd be like, oh, we'll offer you the job, we'll get back to you in a couple of days. Then they phone you and you're trying to do everything to make an excuse to not take the job, because this person's just been like, nah, this is why it's bad, this is why it's bad. And there's some benefits, but why? I don't want to hear everything that's bad. I understand having a mix of the two, but the way this person's talking, it does seem like they're being like, oh, this is why it's bad all the time. It doesn't seem like the other way. This one's about a person that's very heavily tattooed and talking about how hard it is for them to find a job.
So I wanted to come on here and talk about something that is really starting to annoy me. So I applied for a job at TJ Maxx a few weeks ago, and they denied my application. They couldn't even call me. They just sent me some automated email. So I went in today and I was like, so what was the reason I didn't get hired? And she was like, oh, like, you just, like, don't have enough experience. There was candidates that had, like, more experience than you. And, you know, I asked her if it was about my tattoos, obviously, because I know a lot of places don't like tattoos. She said that wasn't the reason. I don't feel like that's true, but whatever, I'll leave it at that. So I'm just wondering how, like, teenagers and young adults who haven't had a job before, how are they supposed to get employed if these places are only hiring people with experience?
So this person does make a good point of how are teenagers getting jobs if, like, you can only get a job if they're hiring people with experience, which is an actual issue that is happening now, that people can't get jobs because it's like maybe a job saying, well, we need 3 years experience. But we're also paying minimum wage, and it's like, so why would I apply for the job with 3 years experience but they're paying minimum wage? Like, in theory, if you stay, I know that's not how it works always, but in theory, if you stay at a job long enough for 3 years, they should up your wage. Maybe it won't happen, like, there's a high chance it won't happen, but if you're at a job for 3 years, they probably should up your wage. So why would you go then down? I know that's not how it works, that's a perfect world I'm speaking about here, but yeah. But there's also another fact of this one that, I'm trying to do this in a nice way, but the person's very heavily tattooed, obviously, like very heavily like face tattoos and neck tattoos and everything like that. And I understand that places aren't allowed to say they've got a bias against tattoos, but some of them do have a bias. They do say like, oh, I asked about my tattoos and they said it's not that. It's because if they agreed that it was the reason for the tattoos, that they would like be sued essentially. But it is a shame that we're still in the current point in the world where it's like someone trying to express themselves can't express themselves. Like tattoos obviously are just an expression of what you believe you are or what art you like and stuff like that. And it's a shame that you can't, like, it is restricting you from getting a job. But, and this is, I don't believe I'm right in thinking this. I will start with that in general. But I do have tattoos. I've got tattoos on my leg. I've got, like, they're all not hidden, but I can hide them easily. I'm not getting any tattoos on my arms or anything until I've got a career in something. And it's not because I don't believe I'll get a job. It's because I don't want to risk not getting a job for something that maybe I could have waited a couple of years to get. And I know that's maybe not the right mindset to think, because I should be able to express myself through art and stuff like that. I'm at uni, I'm an art student, like I should be allowed to do that, and I'm hoping to go into an art field, so I should be able to express myself, and probably I'm the most fortunate that could get tattoos out and be fine still. It's a worry that hopefully in the next couple of years that people don't have to worry about. Like, you should be allowed to express yourself with tattoos. And it's a shame this person can't get a job because of their tattoos, or at least that's what they think. Obviously in this situation, face tattoos obviously do have some connotations against them, because you can't even hide them. Like, some places are fine with arms and like everywhere else apart from neck and face and hands. So it's a bit like, maybe avoid your face until after. But I don't know what this person's previous jobs were in. They could have been a tattoo artist that's decided not to like be a tattoo artist anymore, and then that's why they have their face done, because at the time they just presumed that's going to be the job for the rest of their life. That's the issue with like the mindset I've got, that in theory I could change job after I maybe get hundreds of tattoos if I choose to do so, but then I'm absolutely done in because I've got these tattoos, and a place has been like, oh well, we're not hiring because of that. I don't know it's because of that, but you know what I mean, that's what they're thinking. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video today. Please let me know what you think. Obviously there is some things that maybe I don't even agree with 100% myself with what I've said, but please let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe.